The quiet before the storm. Captain Alina Vasquez stood at the edge of what used to be Central Park, watching Zephyrian patrol ships glide silently overhead. Their blue-silver hulls reflected the morning sun like liquid mercury, a constant reminder of who controlled Earth's skies now. 5 years had passed since the surrender. 5 years since humanity had laid down its weapons without firing a single shot in defense of their homeworld. The galaxy had laughed then. Stories spread through the cosmic networks about the species, so weak they gave up before the fight even began. Earth became a joke, a cautionary tale told in alien bars across 1,000 worlds. The humans who folded faster than paper in rain. Alina pulled her maintenance worker jacket tighter around her shoulders. The yellow fabric bore the Zephyrian insignia, marking her as property of the Empire. To any casual observer, she was just another broken human, assigned to tend the gardens that the Zephyrians had converted into landing zones for their administrative vessels. But Alina wasn't broken. None of them were. She tapped her communicator twice, a gesture so subtle it looked like adjusting her collar. Deep beneath the city, in tunnels that predated the invasion by decades, that signal reached Marcus Chen. He sat surrounded by screens and cables in what had once been a subway maintenance facility, now transformed into something the Zephyrians couldn't even imagine. Marcus smiled as Elena's signal appeared on his display. After 5 years of preparation, of patience, of letting the galaxy think humanity had given up, everything was finally ready. He typed a single word into his secure terminal. Sunrise. Across the globe, that word traveled through networks the Zephyrians had never detected. It reached Commander Zara Okafor in the hidden facilities beneath Mount Kilimanjaro. It found Dr. Sarah Mitchell in her laboratory, disguised as a water treatment plant in the Australian outback. It touched every continent, every resistant cell, every human who had spent 5 years pretending to be defeated while building something extraordinary. The Zephyrians had made their first mistake the day they arrived. They assumed that advanced technology meant advanced intelligence. Their ships were impressive, their weapons devastating, their shields nearly impenetrable. But they thought like conquerors, not like survivors. They had never faced a species that could lose a battle and still win a war. General Corvin emerged from his command vessel, his 8-foot frame casting a long shadow across the converted park. His reptilian features showed the casual arrogance of someone who had never met real resistance. Earth had been his easiest conquest, requiring no orbital bombardment, no ground assault, no casualties among his forces. The humans had simply opened their communications channels one day and transmitted their surrender. Status report, Corvin commanded in his translated voice, the words carrying that mechanical edge that all Zephyrian speech acquired through their universal translators. Alina approached with the subservient posture she had perfected over 5 years. Garden maintenance, proceeding as scheduled. General, the new landing pad will be ready for your inspection fleet tomorrow. Corvin barely looked at her. Humans were background noise to him now, as relevant as the maintenance drones that cleaned his ship. Acceptable. Ensure there are no delays. The High Command expects this facility to be operational for the sector review. Of course, General. Alina bowed slightly, playing her role perfectly. As Corvin turned away, she allowed herself the smallest smile. Tomorrow's inspection fleet would indeed find something unexpected in the depths of Marcus's command center. Displays showed the status of Project Lazarus. Every major city on Earth showed green indicators. 5 years of secret construction, of hiding advanced fabrication facilities in abandoned buildings, of recruiting the brightest minds and convincing them to disappear from public view. The Zephyrians had catalogued Earth's technology at the time of surrender, but they had never suspected that humans could advance so rapidly while appearing completely stagnant. The key had been understanding Zephyrian psychology. They were apex predators from a world where strength determined survival. They couldn't conceive of strategic surrender, of using apparent weakness as camouflage for preparation. When Earth's governments had transmitted their surrender, the Zephyrians had stopped monitoring human technological development entirely. Why watch defeated prey? Dr. Sarah Mitchell's fingers flew across her quantum processing array, hidden beneath what appeared to be routine water purification equipment. Her breakthrough in quantum entanglement communication had taken 3 years to perfect, and another 2 to deploy globally. The Zephyrians monitored all electromagnetic communications, but they had never detected quantum entanglement because they didn't believe humans capable of such advanced physics. All stations report ready, Marcus announced to his team. Around him, 20 specialists worked at terminals that would have amazed the Zephyrians if they had bothered to look. These weren't the primitive human computers from 5 years ago. These were quantum processors, artificial intelligence networks, and control systems that could interface with any technology they encountered. Alina received the confirmation through her quantum cum implant, a device smaller than a grain of rice embedded behind her ear. 2 Zephyrian medical scanners. It looked like scar tissue from an old injury. The implant connected her to every resistance member on the planet, creating a communication network that operated faster than light and remained completely invisible to alien detection. The Zephyrians had made their second mistake by integrating their technology with Earth's infrastructure. They needed human labor to maintain their facilities, human knowledge to navigate Earth's systems, human cooperation to govern effectively. They had connected their networks to human databases, their ships to human navigation systems, their weapons to human targeting computers. They had invited humanity into their technology, never suspecting that humans could turn that access into infiltration. Lieutenant Jake Rodriguez floated in zero gravity aboard the orbital monitoring station, officially designated as a joint human-Zephyrian facility. In reality, it was a prison where a handful of humans performed menial tasks under alien supervision. Jake had volunteered for this assignment 3 years ago, presenting himself as an eager collaborator, desperate to serve the Empire. The Zephyrians had accepted him without question. They liked humans who appeared to worship their superiority. Jake had spent 3 years learning every system on the station, mapping every network connection, understanding every security protocol. He had smiled and bowed and praised Zephyrian wisdom while memorizing the locations of every critical system tonight. Jake would put that knowledge to use. General Corvin stood in his private quarters, reviewing reports from across the sector. Earth remained the most peaceful of his conquered worlds, requiring minimal resources to maintain control. The humans had adapted well to servitude, showing none of the rebellious spirit that plagued other species. He had been considering requesting a transfer to a more challenging assignment when the first alert appeared on his display. The alert was subtle, just a minor fluctuation in the global communication grid. Corvin frowned and opened a more detailed analysis. The fluctuation had occurred simultaneously across all continents, lasting exactly 3.7 seconds. It was perfectly synchronized, which was impossible unless it had been coordinated by some kind of advanced control system. But humans didn't have advanced control systems. The Zephyrians had catalogued all of Earth's technology during the occupation. They had primitive networks, basic computers, simple manufacturing capabilities. Nothing that could generate a planet-wide synchronized signal. Corvin's COM system chimed with an incoming message from his orbital station. The voice belonged to Commander Vex, his most trusted officer. "General, we're detecting unusual activity in the quantum spectrum. It appears to be some kind of communication network, but we can't trace its source." "Explain," Corvin commanded, his relaxed demeanor evaporating. "The signals are using quantum entanglement, General. The technology is more advanced than our own. Detection systems. We can see the effects, but not the cause." Corvin felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Uncertainty. That's impossible. Humans don't possess quantum communication technology. "Yes, General. That's what makes this so concerning." In her hidden laboratory, Dr. Mitchell watched her displays with satisfaction. The Zephyrians had finally noticed the quantum network, but they were 5 years too late. Every resistance cell, every hidden facility, every human agent had been connected for months. The network wasn't just for communication anymore. It was a control system that could interface with any technology on the planet, including Zephyrian systems that had been integrated with human infrastructure. Alina felt the quantum implant pulse behind her ear, carrying Marcus's final message. Phase 1 complete. Prepare for Phase 2. She looked up at the Zephyrian patrol ships overhead, their pilots completely unaware that their navigation systems were now connected to a network they couldn't detect or understand. Tomorrow, those same ships would experience what humans called a learning moment. The galaxy had laughed at Earth's quick surrender, never suspecting that sometimes the smartest strategy was to let your enemy think they had already won. Humanity had spent 5 years as students, learning everything they could about Zephyrian technology, psychology, and tactics. But school was over now. It was time to show the galaxy what humans had learned, and why patience should never be mistaken for weakness. Asterisk. When patience becomes power, the morning brought clear skies and an inspection fleet that would remember this day for the rest of their careers. Admiral Vex commanded the Zephyrian Review Squadron, 15 vessels carrying sector officials to observe General Corvin's model occupation of Earth. They approached the planet with casual confidence, their formations loose and defensive systems. Operating at minimum power, Alina stood in what had been Central Park, now converted to a landing facility, watching the fleet descend through Earth's atmosphere. Her maintenance uniform bore fresh stains from her morning work, a perfect disguise for someone about to change galactic history. The quantum implant behind her ear hummed softly with incoming data streams from resistance cells worldwide. "All stations report ready for Phase 2, Marcus announced through the quantum network, his voice reaching every human agent simultaneously. In his underground command center, screens displayed the real-time positions of every Zephyrian vessel in Earth's solar system. 5 years of careful observation had mapped their patrol routes, documented their communication protocols, and identified every weakness in their supposedly impregnable defenses. Lieutenant Jake Rodriguez floated in the orbital monitoring station, his fingers hovering over a control panel that the Zephyrians believed operated routine atmospheric sensors. In reality, Jake had spent 3 years rebuilding the station's systems from the inside out, creating backdoors and override protocols that would have impressed his former instructors at the Space Force Academy. The Zephyrian duty officer, a slug-like creature named Gorth, noticed Jake's unusual attention to his displays. "Human, explain your activity." Jake smiled with practiced subservience. "Just calibrating the atmospheric sensors for the Admiral's fleet, sir." making sure everything reads perfectly for the inspection. Gorth's translator rendered his contemptuous snort into audible disdain. Typical human obsession with meaningless details. Proceed. As the Admiral's flagship entered the atmosphere, Jake made a series of subtle adjustments to his panel. To Gorth, it looked like routine calibration. In reality, Jake was activating quantum communication relays hidden throughout the station's hull, creating a direct link between the orbital facility and the planet-wide resistance network. Commander, Zara Okafor emerged from the hidden facility beneath Mount Kilimanjaro, her team of engineers surrounding her like a specialized surgical unit. For 5 years, they had excavated and constructed in secret, creating a manufacturing complex that rivaled anything in the Zephyrian Empire. The facility specialized in quantum processors and neural interface technology, devices that could integrate with any computer system they encountered. Initiate connection protocol, Zara commanded, her voice carrying across the facility's quantum network. Around her, technicians activated systems that had been built specifically for this moment. Quantum processors hummed to life, their calculations operating faster than the speed of light. Immune to any jamming or detection system, the Zep possessed Dr. Sarah Mitchell's laboratory in the Australian outback, had become the nerve center of humanity's most ambitious project. Her quantum entanglement network didn't just connect human resistance cells. It had been quietly infiltrating Zephyrian systems for months, establishing pathways through every piece of alien technology that had been integrated with Earth's infrastructure. Network integration at 94%, she announced to Marcus and the global command structure. We have access to their navigation, communications, and defensive systems. Initiating Phase 2 override protocols. Admiral Vex stood on his flagship's bridge, reviewing the peaceful scene below. Earth looked exactly as he expected, a subdued world with broken humans maintaining facilities for their Zephyrian masters. His species had conquered 47 worlds, but none had surrendered as completely as Earth. It was almost disappointing. Admiral, his communications officer reported, we're receiving some unusual readings from the planet's quantum spectrum. It appears to be some kind of advanced communication network. Vex's 4 eyes narrowed with curiosity rather than concern. Investigate and report. The humans may have discovered some primitive quantum phenomenon. That dismissive attitude lasted exactly 43 seconds. Alina watched the Admiral's flagship suddenly lurch sideways in the sky, its smooth descent becoming an erratic spiral. The ship's navigation systems had just been quietly replaced with human-designed protocols that gave ground control complete authority over flight paths. The pilots were fighting controls that no longer responded to their commands. Phase 2 initiated, Marcus announced through the quantum network. All Zephyrian vessels are now under human navigation control. Across Earth's orbit, patrol ships found themselves flying in perfect formation despite their pilots' frantic attempts to break free. The formations spelled out words in multiple human languages: surprise, gotcha, and patience. The formations were visible from the planet's surface. A message written across the sky in commandeered alien warships. Jake Rodriguez grinned as Commander Gorth tried desperately to regain control of the orbital station's systems. Every command the alien entered was quietly overridden by quantum processors that operated faster than his reflexes could follow. Jake's fingers danced across his panel, making it appear that he was trying to help while actually ensuring that every system on the station remained firmly under human control. I'm trying to restore navigation, sir, Jake lied convincingly, but something seems to be interfering with our quantum processing cores. Gorth's panic was delicious to observe. For 5 years, he had treated Jake like a primitive servant. Now he was begging that same servant to fix systems that Jake had designed specifically to be unfixable by anyone who didn't understand quantum entanglement theory. Admiral Dex's flagship completed its involuntary spiral and settled gently onto the landing pad in Central Park, exactly where Alina had spent the morning preparing. The Admiral himself emerged, looking shaken but attempting to maintain dignity. His security detail surrounded him, weapons drawn but unable to identify any threat. Alina approached with the same subservient posture she had perfected over 5 years. "Welcome to Earth, Admiral. I hope your landing was ... educational. Explain. What happened to my ship?" Dex demanded, his translator conveying both confusion and growing anger. "Your ship experienced a learning moment," Alina replied, dropping her subservient pose and standing straight for the first time in years. "We've been teaching it new navigation protocols. Don't worry, it's completely safe. Our engineers are very good at what they do." General Corvin arrived, running, his own security detail in tow. His confident demeanor had evaporated completely. "Admiral, we're experiencing coordinated system failures across all our installations. The humans appear to have some kind of advanced override capability." Alina smiled. "Not advanced, General. Just patient. We've had 5 years to learn your systems, study your protocols, and understand your technology. You invited us into your networks when you integrated with our infrastructure. We've been waiting for the right moment to show you what we learned. In facilities across the globe, hidden human engineering teams revealed themselves. The water treatment plant in Australia opened its concealed levels, exposing quantum computing arrays that surpassed anything in the Zephyrian Empire. The abandoned subway tunnels in New York disgorged teams of specialists who had spent 5 years designing integration protocols for alien technology. Manufacturing facilities hidden in old mines and factories began producing devices that made Zephyrian science look primitive. "This is impossible," Admiral Vex protested. "Your species surrendered. You showed no resistance. Our intelligence indicated complete technological inferiority." "Your intelligence was incomplete," Alina replied. "You measured our technology at the moment of surrender and assumed it would remain static. You never considered that humans might continue developing, while appearing defeated. You mistook our strategic patience for permanent weakness." Dr. Mitchell's voice reached every human resistance member through the quantum network. Phase 3 authorized. Initiate Communication Protocol 7. Across the galaxy, every Zephyrian communication relay, every data network, every information system suddenly carried the same message. It appeared in perfect translation for every species in the Empire, broadcast simultaneously to billions of worlds. "This is Earth. For 5 years, we have been your students, learning your technology, studying your methods, understanding your capabilities. You have taught us well. Now we would like to share what we have learned. We are not your enemies, but we are no longer your subjects. Humanity chooses cooperation over conquest, partnership over domination. We hope you will make the same choice." The message continued with detailed technical specifications for quantum entanglement communication, advanced materials, science, and computational theory that exceeded anything in known galactic science. Humanity wasn't just announcing its freedom. It was offering to teach the galaxy new possibilities. Lieutenant Jake Rodriguez finally dropped his pretense of servitude as Commander Gorth stared at displays showing human vessels emerging from hidden facilities across the solar system. These weren't the primitive spacecraft the Zephyrians remembered. From 5 years ago, these were sleek, quantum-powered craft that moved through space like living things, their hulls humming with energy signatures that registered as impossible on Zephyrian sensors. "How?" Gorth whispered, his translator barely functioning as his shock overwhelmed the device's processors. "Practice," Jake replied cheerfully. "Lots and lots of practice. You left us alone for 5 years, assuming we were too broken to cause trouble. We used that time productively." Admiral Vex stood in Central Park, surrounded by humans who no longer bowed or scraped or pretended to be less than they were. Alina faced him with calm dignity, her hands empty but her posture radiating quiet confidence. "What do you want?" Vex asked, his voice carrying none of its earlier arrogance. "What we've always wanted," Alina replied. "To be left alone, to develop our own destiny, to choose our own path among the stars, to be treated as equals rather than subjects. And if we refuse..." Alina gestured toward the sky, where Zephyrian patrol ships continued flying in formations they couldn't control, spelling out messages in languages they couldn't read. "Then you'll discover that humans are very good students. We've learned everything you taught us about technology, tactics, and galactic politics. We've also learned some things you never thought to teach us about patience, determination, and the power of appearing weaker than you actually are." The galaxy had laughed at Earth's surrender 5 years ago. Today, they learned that humanity's greatest strength had never been their weapons or their ships or their technology. It had been their ability to adapt, to learn, to grow stronger, while appearing completely defeated. The Zephyrian Empire faced a choice: accept humanity as an equal partner in galactic civilization, or discover what happened when a species that had perfected the art of strategic patience decided that patience was no longer required. Earth had spoken. The galaxy was finally listening.